Okay, welcome to the special episode of the Muay Thai Experience. My name is Annie McConey. Today I have Rob Cox back on the podcast. Rob is a member of the competition team at ONE Lumpinee. In today's podcast, we're going to discuss the incredible year ONE Lumpinee has had, changing many lives and bringing more attention to the sport than it has ever had before. Okay, Rob, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too and everyone else watching. Thanks for having me back.
That's all right. So, like I said in the intro, an incredibly great year for ONE Lumpinee, and really your team, the competition team, is probably all the kudos goes to you guys for all the success that you had. Can you just explain?
Well, I mean, obviously we play a big part in it, but there's a lot of other teams that also deserve kudos as well, you know, production and everything else, you know, because they all help and it's all, everyone's kind of pulling together. That's the beauty of working for ONE, is that it's almost, I mean, it sounds a bit of a cliche, but it's almost like a family, and everyone in the different teams work well together and support each other. So I don't think any of us could do anything without the others. So it's probably not just entirely down to us.
But you guys did play a big role in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely.
Can you explain your role exactly, what you do on the competition team?
A multitude of things, really. I mean, it's been a massive learning curve for me, because it's, you know, obviously I've been involved in the sport a long time, but there's there's obviously different ways of working, and one are very kind of structured, and so there's a lot of things I've had to learn as I go along. But I mean, prime responsibilities I suppose would be matchmaking, getting bout agreements sorted out and sent to the managers, chasing photos up for the managers' promotion stuff. There's a lot of admin work as well that has to be done. Do a little bit, get involved a little bit with the financial and the medical side, chasing up blood results, that kind of thing, and chasing up bank details. But primarily it'd be matchmaking and looking after the fight cards and making sure not just that the fight cards are all good and the matchmaking's all good. There's a lot of other stuff we have to do with the stats and stuff to help the production people, to help the marketing people, make sure that's all correct, getting that information out, and
how do you kind of feel like how do you feel like the whole process has gone for yourself? Like, because while I was getting ready for this podcast, looking at the first show that we had last year compared to the last one, it seems like the cards got better and better and better as the year went on.
Everyone, I think, obviously apart from, obviously Timo, he's been involved already, so he's been a massive help to everyone. He's been kind of teaching everyone what to do, because a lot of us came into it without having worked like that before. So Ben's Pet Bunchu, he's obviously he'd been involved with ONE before, so he kind of had a bit of an idea, but we still had to kind of try and find our ways of working together, and a routine basically. Some people can work better in other ways, and it's finding out people's strengths and weaknesses, and arranging things like, at first we'd meet up and have a matchmaking meeting in Bangkok somewhere, or then it got to, so we all kind of worked out a better time for everyone, and we could all sit down and got a good little routine going, and it just went from there really. And it they obviously were going to get better, because when we first did them, it was very, very new to most people involved.
Were you, because now that we can kind of look back on 2023, are you surprised, or did you kind of expect ONE Lumpinee to be as successful as it was?
I always thought it had a huge amount of potential to be successful, because of that market was there and waiting for it, really. Make the fighters earn more money, that kind of thing. The potential was there, but I don't think anyone expected it to go quite as good as it did, to be honest with you.
Because it has been the most watched show.
Yeah. There wasn't a single week where we weren't topping the ratings.
And the way that, for people that are listening, the way the ratings work, they're done by by an external agency called Nielsen, and they compare all of the fight shows. So you've got even the normal 5-round shows like your Noise, your Source of My show on a Wednesday, Fairtex Fight, LWC, RWS.
From entertainment right through to traditional, that's right.
And and if if you get a 1.0, you're doing okay. Anything above that is really, really good. And
we're hitting 3 most weeks, 5 maybe with a big show.
I don't think the show went below a 2, which is the whole year round.
Like 2.5, to be honest with you. And what was surprising to me was it's obviously because I've worked for other shows before. I've worked for other entertainment Muay Thai shows, and back when I used to work for Max Muay Thai, they were getting great ratings at first, and they were doing 5 shows a week, and the hardest show to get ratings on, the one they struggled the most every week was a Friday night, and we're doing it on Friday prime time and just absolutely smashing it, which is makes you wonder if we was to have a show on a Saturday or a Sunday, then it could be even more, it could be really big, but to do it on a Friday night, I think at our time we're doing it is pretty special. I don't think anyone expected it to be quite that good.
No, I have to agree. I think I was definitely surprised on how successful it was, but I'm really pleased as well. I thought it's been absolutely brilliant. So going from there, like you mentioned earlier, you've been involved in the sport for a long time. As a gym owner yourself, and seeing the fighters earning way more money than what they've ever earned, seeing fighters like Sexan getting the $100,000 contracts and the bonuses, how does that kind of make you feel in a way?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic, when you see these kids, and it's bringing people back to the sport. It's I don't think anyone would deny the sport's in a really bad way, and especially COVID came along and kind of highlighted that and made it even kind of speed up almost the demise, but to see fighters coming back now and people kind of getting interested in the sport again, it's great, as is detractors, I should say, sorry. People don't like the whole concept, the 3 rounds, they've taken away some of the kind of traditional sides of the sport, but I've been around the sport a long time, 35 years inside Thailand, over 20 years outside as well, and it's never ever going to get anywhere if it kept it how it was. It needed something to maybe make it a little bit different, make it a little bit and there's room for both sides as well. There's room for entertainment Muay Thai, there's room for 5-round Muay Thai, there's something there for the traditional guys, and if one brings more attention to it and gets people coming in, and then they start to discover the 5-round fights and the traditional side, then it's even better, because it's a win-win for everyone then.
And normally it's the 5-round, it's always going to be there really, and that's where you find most of the Thai guys that are competing at the moment. We're not just going in and creating a total new ecosystem of fighters. We're using guys that are fighting on the 5-round shows every week. We're working with most of the big promoters and using most of those guys that you'll see on a Source of My show or on the Fairtex or on Jit Mung Non, or Giet Pet, Channel 7, a lot of those guys, they're the bread and butter guys that are fighting on ONE as well. So it's there for everyone, You mentioned Giat Pet, obviously you've got Source of My, Jit Mung Non supporting you. These are the promoters in Thailand that have the shows on regularly at the stadiums. What has it been like working with all of them? Because a lot of them supply most of your fighters. Can you talk about that at all?
Working with these promoters, they seem to be very happy with ONE as well, because it's giving their fighters an opportunity to earn a bit more cash outside of the main stadium fights as well, and give them a bit of exposure as well. So it's kind of a win-win for them as well,
Looking back on, actually before we talk about that, Purse's perspective, from a money perspective for the fighters. So obviously some of my friends, I know some Thai fighters from some of the gyms, for example Pai Dang, from Gyatsamrit.
Yeah.
He was saying to me, like, before COVID, he was on, you know, like about 60 to 80,000 a fight.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, between 20 to 30,000 baht.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in ONE Lumpinee, it's way more than that. It's like over. He's talking about probably over. I don't know if we can say it, but over like 100,000.
Yeah. I can't remember how much he gets, to be honest with you, but
it's a lot. It's a lot more compared to. And then plus the bonus, if you win by knockout, plus the bonus on top, and then the contract. And then if you really impress, you can get a contract too.
Right.
Speaking of the fighters as well, what like who would you say for you would be like the best male fighter of the year from ONE Lumpinee? Who really stood out for you?
There's so many, you know. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit biased here because he's one that I brought in was probably Jojo. You know, came in first fight 16, won by knockout in 16 seconds, and got the bonus. And you know, he went just got better and better as he went on. We give him a couple of not too strong tests because he's very young still, but you know, and he came through those and earned himself a big contract. So for me, that was he's probably my standout.
The youngest contracted fighter, I think, in one championship history.
I'm not sure. Smilla, maybe.
Okay,
around about the same age. I'm not sure how old she was when she got the contract, but. But yeah, you know, that was an incredible achievement from him, and you know, being a part of seeing him come on. I mean, when I first matched his brother and his trainer Addy, who's a bit of a character. He kept saying, "Oh, you know, look at this other kid, Johan. His younger brother. He's going to be the star. He's the best one. He's the better one." I looked at him, "Oh yeah, this kid's, you know, he's very game, very tough and exciting," and. Thought, and we talked about it a little bit. I said, you know, we should maybe give this kid a chance, and he's still young. And then he fought on Fairtex, and I forget who he fought now, but it was just like everyone just said, "Wow!" And then straight away, no, we got to get him on. And
no, he's good. He definitely.
His very first fight, he went out and, like I say, 16 seconds, and that was it. A star was kind of born.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. Make it like big waves, and you're definitely going to continue to. What about female fighter of the year? Who really impressed you?
We didn't have that many consistent female fighters. Nong Am I like. She's got a good style for one. Very strong hands. Unfortunately, she broke her hand in her last fight. I think probably the two strongest we put on was. And they fought each other was Natalia and Hannah, and that was an incredible fight for me.
Natalia from Medi's gym from Russia.
Dierchikova, I think is
that's it, Dierchikova.
She had 2 first round KOs, and it was just like everyone was like, "Oh, she's unstoppable." And then Hannah had the first round KO win, and we matched them both. And this is whatever happens, it's going to be explosive. And I think Hannah almost stopped Natalia in the second round. She was she was ready to go down, and then she got kind of caught with a back fist, and the referee gave her an 8 count, and she lost on points. But those two are probably the highlight female fighters for me that really caught the eye.
I thought it was good to see Petjicha win the belt as well.
Yeah, sorry, because I'm thinking because she's on main one now, but yeah, she did actually start on there. Yeah, obviously Petjicha's the standout. Yeah,
but those two as well. Both
non-one fighters, just purely ONE Lumpinee. I would say it was those two. I would think both of them probably wouldn't be that far from maybe getting a contract, but obviously Petjicha's probably the female fighter of the year, I think. But she's a main one fighter anyway now, so.
Well, yeah, but that's all
one fight for ONE Lumpinee, I think, and
she had two.
And she got the contract.
She had two. Well, I think that's the main reason, the whole point of ONE Lumpinee. It's almost like to pave your way to one championship, which is where they really want to. Which is where you really want to fight.
That's the thing with doing like 500 over 500 matches. Your brain becomes a bit of a blur towards the end of it.
No, I can understand. So there was a lot of these because of the small gloves. Yeah. What was your, if you had to pick one or maybe a couple, what was the knockout of the year for you?
Knockout of the year, Suryan Lek, the comeback knockout against
Tom Yam Gung, right?
Tom Yam Gung.
Yeah.
That was just mind blowing because I don't think I'd ever seen anyone dominate so bad and being on the verge of getting it stopped himself, and he just pulled it out. I mean, it wasn't a one shot. Wow, where did that come from? I think he landed 3 or 4 shots and just kind of had him hurt. But that probably for me was the KO of the year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was in my mind as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him coming back from that fight.
I don't think anyone did. That was, they say in Thai, patihan, like a miracle, you know.
Oh, okay. All right.
But outside of ONE Lumpinee on the main one show, I think Menshikov, when he knocked out Muhsin Shafi as well, that was a wow KO.
Okay. And then you kind of answered this already, but what would you say would it be the comeback win of the year? So where someone's getting completely dominated, similar to Suryan Lek, but then
that's the one, mate,
that one.
That's got to be the one, isn't it?
For me, the Ricardo Bravo one was a good one.
Yeah, again, we're going. You know, your memories is better than mine almost, because we put so many fights on. I think, if I'm going to have the Suryan Lek KO, then we go for Bravo as the comeback, because I mean he got dropped heavily in the first round, didn't he, twice? And you know, that young Norwegian kid, he's only very young as well. He looked so strong, but to come back like he did, 3 knockdowns and like literally finished him, I think, with about 10 seconds to go, didn't he?
I think it was also story-wise because Suryan Lek almost quit Muay Thai and was going to go and be a coach in Japan.
Yeah, he already was teaching in Japan a bit, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he decided to give ONE Lumpinee a go and wanted to try his hand at it. And then Ricardo Bravo, on the other hand, has been living in Japan for years, trying to be a professional fighter, scraping by, doing odd jobs along with fighting. And then he had a great year on ONE Lumpinee, and I think he's probably going to get matched even more so this year.
I think we've got him coming back soon. I can't remember when exactly, but I'm pretty sure we got him coming back soon.
Yeah, which will be good. Which should be really good. And then for you, this might be a difficult one because you've matched so many. But what was the best card for you in 2023?
I would have to say our last show of the year, December the 22nd. I mean, it had 3 title fights. It had Super Bontawan Chai, you know, Petji Jha versus Mexam, which was, you know, if you're going to talk about hugely anticipated matchups, it doesn't come much bigger than that, especially in female Muay Thai. It's probably, or kickboxing even, is as big as it's going to get, isn't it? You know, the two probably who you probably say the pound for pound best 2 female fighters at that weight in the world. And then we had Prajanchai versus Lasiri rematch. The whole card really was, from top to bottom, it was pretty impressive. You know?
Well, every fight could have been.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And then just going back, I think for me, probably knockout of the year for me probably would have been Nico. Just the way he just came back and knocked Nongo out. With
that was impressive. You know, he was in a. You know, it looked like he was ready to go with the damage he'd taken to the leg. But you know, when you got as much power as Nico has, then there's always that chance. You know, there's always the puncher's chance, especially with someone that hits as hard as he does. You know, Nongo has never probably had the best of chins, even from back when he was young and fighting in the stadium. So I don't think anyone's really tested his chin that much before obviously Haggerty and then Carrillo the second time.
And can you, because you've been involved in the sport for a long time, and there was a time really in the stadiums where you got 5 rounds and it would kind of bore a lot of the fans off, like new fans, like new foreigners watching it, where it'd be like too relaxed, technical style. Whereas now ONE Lumpinee, it's gone almost the complete other way. It's aggressive, Muay mat, punch, low kick, elbows, have a fight in the phone booth. Can you see fighters adapting and being a bit more technical, like to it, like specifically Thai fighters?
Definitely. I mean, there's a misconception that's all you get on ONE Lumpinee. You don't. You know, there's been some incredible technical matchups on there as well. You know, Det Duan Lek versus Kong Suk and
Tawanchai and Superbon.
Tawanchai and Superbon, obviously.
Technical.
But there's been some great technical fights where you've just been, you know, classic Muay Thai, and we're quite happy to have that, as long as it's not kind of like round 1 and 2 where they're just touching gloves and smiling at each other, and then round 5 or in the last round just dancing around like a ring like that, because the corners and the gamblers are telling to, well, that's what we don't want, obviously, because not that many people want to see that,
No, and it's not a good look. And
it's unfortunately, it's whether you like it or not, that's what's driving the sport into the ground. And they still keep talking about trying to change it in the 5-round fights, but I don't know how they're going to do it. It's kind of become ingrained now. So you talk about Thai fighters, will they change things a little bit? I mean, you look at and you're already seeing some fighters changing, when obviously the gyms are going to struggle a little bit at first, because the Thai ways kind of, again, it's so entrenched in the sport, and the way they've done it for so many years, they're going to have to get a little bit more modern in their thinking, in their training maybe, and get different coaches in to work on footwork and boxing a little bit. I mean, just one prime example for me where you could clearly see a big change in his style and an improvement would be probably Ferrari. The first couple of fights he had on ONE, he got was it Fabio Reis stopped him?
Yes.
And he got dropped by Farrier, I think, and he just he's just not made for small gloves. He's probably better off just going back to the stadiums. But then I forget who it was in his last fight now, but he fought a heavy hitter.
It was that Kirillov.
Oh yeah,
Kirill
Komarov, and you could see that his hands, his jab and his right cross was sharp. His defence was good, and you could see that obviously Fairtex have not just sat back and thought, all right, we're just going to
leave him.
Not change the style or whatever. We're just going to do what we've been doing for a long time, and it's you can see in him there's a real improvement. And I think you will start to see that with all the gyms at some point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's gyms that have really modernised a lot, like PK for example. They have a boxing coach, they have an S&C coach there. The fighters do more S&C work in the morning, and then in the afternoons they'll do a round of boxing with the coach too. So you can definitely see it coming. Hopefully it continues. Is there? There's been a bit of talk, not just around like fans like thinking, will there be like ONE Lumpinee titles? Because obviously Lumpinee Stadium has its own title itself, but it can't be put on the ONE Lumpinee shows because of the small gloves and the 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But will there be a ONE Lumpinee title at some point?
I mean, I can't say I've heard anything concrete yet. There's been talk about it, but who knows? I probably think there probably will be at some point. I would think. I mean, it kind of makes sense marketing wise as well, but who knows? We'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Okay, and what can fans expect from ONE Lumpinee in 2024?
Just at the moment, our goals are just the same as they have been. Just keep putting on these great fights, great cards. Looking for new stars as well. Always looking for people to come in that going to catch the eye and help to push the sport. Someone with a good story, a good style of fighting as well. And just keep doing what we've been doing. I think at the moment.
And speaking of looking for new people, what do fighters need to do to get an opportunity to fight on ONE Lumpinee? What are you necessarily looking for?
Just someone with a very good, entertaining style. Good heart. Maybe aggressive. Doesn't that, like I say before, that doesn't have to be the be all and end all. Can be very good technically. Just have something about them that catches the eye a little bit.
So pretty much all around them. But how are you guys finding most of the fighters? Is it more not necessarily in Thailand? Like, how do you sort of source?
I mean, obviously we work with a lot of the promoters here, but also gyms as well. There's certain gyms that we'll work with that will put fighters forward to us. One of the gyms that we know that we can rely on, and they're not going to just chuck anyone at us just to make a few quick. So obviously we've got to be very careful that we don't just put anyone on. Obviously sometimes it's a lot of people think it's easier than it is to put matches on. You get last minute pull-outs. Sometimes things aren't as perfect as we'd like, but it goes that well on every promotion, especially when you're doing one show a week. You're going to get a lot of pull-outs over the year, and to try and get the full card at the last minute, it's not always easy. But then,
sometimes
saying that again, some of the last minute fights have been incredible.
Yeah. And sometimes it's things that are just beyond your control.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but so when we look for fighters, we go with the promoters that we work with and the gyms that we can trust, and that we know that they're not just going to chuck anyone at us just because they know that they're going to get a good payday, and that they're reliable, and just go from there really.
Okay.
Get a lot of people contact us as well, and obviously not all of them are perfect offerings, and you get quite a few that you kind of like have to raise your eyebrows a little bit and just kind of forget about. But
you want that much?
Yeah, well, not just the money, you get people message you that are kind of a little bit out of touch with reality sometimes,
But on itself, I think the amount of money that the fighters have been able to earn, Sexan, for example, which is a big one at the first show when he got the $50,000 bonus.
If anyone that's been around the sport a long time, like myself or Timo maybe, and Benz and that, you yourself, you've been around a fair while now, and you've seen what these fighters put themselves through, and how they live and what they're doing it for, and if you know Sexton and what he's like, it's just probably one of the nicest, most genuine, down-to-earth, humble humans that you'll ever meet, and that just gives everything when he fights, and he's the first person when the fight ends, he goes running up to the opponent's corner and wires all the fans, and to say sorry or whatever, or to give his respect to the people that come and support him, and he's just, he does a huge amount for charity, for like schools and stuff around where he lives, and does things where he feeds, like, people come around and he'll feed like 300 people or whatever, it's a big cookout, and I can't think of anyone else that deserves it really as much.
No, I can't either. He's a great guy, he really is. But really everybody has been after the bonuses, and just to throw some stats down, so not including the contracts, there was about 241 bonuses on the show in 2023. And then if you look at at the start, you guys started off giving $10,000 bonuses on the first 3 shows, and then obviously the $50,000, they're special sometimes for the one contract.
Yeah, they'll be generally be the main one contracted guys, but obviously you saw Sexton get it at the first show.
If you add up the bonuses, so the 350,000 baht, the $10,000 and the $50,000, that's about 92.7 million Thai baht, $2.7 million US dollars. The show that got the most bonuses was One Friday Fights 30. 13 fighters got bonuses.
A couple of them got double bonuses.
Two got double bonuses.
Something like 15 bonuses that night, and that was just crazy. It was
it was 15.
It was just one of those, sometimes, I know it sounds corny, you get a bit of a feeling, it's like, I think tonight's going to be a good show tonight, and you look at the card and think, there's going to get a few knockouts tonight, this is going to be interesting tonight, and it just excelled everyone's expectations. It was just something in the air,
Well, the guys there was 4 fighters that got double bonuses in 2023. DA from PK Sanchai,
the jumping knee,
flying knee KO over Saklek. Gongklai Annie Muay Thai from when he stopped Silvu Vites with knees, he got a double bonus. Warapon with his head kick KO over Zlatan Jitmanong, and then Sir Kim with when he knocked out Saman Ashauri on One Friday Fights 34 with the left hook. And then the contracted fighters, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I found 10 contracted fighters from the show in 2023 that are going to go and fight on the big One Championship cards now. So Rambo Lek, Petchicha, Bombun, Nico Carrillo, Sexan, Johan Ghazali, Alif Sordechpan, Sonchai Noi, Gyatson Rit, Yu Yao Bui, and Sir Black.
Yeah, that's it. I think I can't think of any others.
So all of them will be on all of them will be on the One Championship show, but also they'll make appearances on One Lumpinee as well.
Yeah, we can still use them, obviously, but obviously it depends on if Main One are looking to use them. We obviously talk to them and see if they've got any plans for them. If they haven't, then we can use them as well. So,
and then the shows that sold out the most, no surprise, the One Friday Fights 34, Rod Tang and Super Leg card, and that, as we were talking about ratings earlier, that hit a 5.1.
That was the highest rating.
Yeah, 5.
I think that slightly beat the December the 22nd show, not by a lot. I still think that personally that the December the 22nd card, the whole card was better overall, but obviously Rod Tang Super Leg was such a big fight. It was,
Well, that got a 5.1 in the ratings, and then the One Friday Fights 46, which we just mentioned, that got a 4.9. So it's a 0.2 off, but that's still pretty good.
It's incredible. Huge ratings.
Cool. All right, Rob. Well, anything to add at all, like before we wrap things up?
Not that I can think of, no.
No. Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for coming back on, and hopefully have you back on again in the future.
Definitely.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Muay Thai Experience. If you would like to relive the shows from One Lumpinee in 2023 and stay up to date, follow the One Championship and Tero Digital YouTube channels. The links will be attached in the description. If you would like to purchase tickets to watch one of the One Lumpinee events live at Lumpinee Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand, visit thaiticketmajor.com to purchase your tickets. The link will be attached in the description. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.